Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition for the virtual practice group, Body Mind Practices to Enhance Resiliency and Immunity. We have some wonderful practices planned for you today. Before we kick off and have Dr. Bakshi make a quick outline announcement. If you have any issues with audio or video, please let me know. Send me a quick message on the chat bubble using the chat bubble below, and I will do my best to help you and assist you in that regard. Also, I mentioned last time we have a survey, so you will be receiving it immediately after this session. So please do fill it out. We'd love your feedback and your thoughts so that we can continue to add and improve and do our part in making the session enjoyable, engaging, and empowering. So, without further ado, over to Dr. Kalan Bakshi.
Thank you, Maulik. One of the pleasure things about today is a special thing that I will have Maulik lead some practice. This is fantastic, and I really enjoy that. After that, the outline will basically involve the second section that by request from a couple of people and feedback, and I appreciate the feedback that we get, is the breathing practices. So we're going to do a section of breathing, breath practices, and more details about it. And the third section will be involving balancing the two brains. And that should get us towards about the end of our practice session. But there's a special additional section that people want to stay around a little bit. It's a very special presentation for about 10-15 minutes or so, so total about an hour. Just want to make sure that you don't miss that, okay? And there are certain other next week's announcement, etc. We'll do that as we go along. So without further details on that, over to you, Maulik, for the practice.
Thank you, Dr. Bakshi. Let me just switch angles here real quick. All right, so today we're going to be doing something that is extremely simple, but very powerful in terms of the movements and the impact that it has. The first practice that we're going to be doing is called gathering breath. Many of you may have heard that it is also known as marrow cleansing. So I'm going to do it seated, but you can do it standing. So just simple difference: your knees extend and you're standing. And a couple of things as we move, I'll describe it. So just follow along and follow the breath as well in how you go about it. So first, you just get in your, if you're seated, come on the edge of your seat. Get your Tai Chi posture where your alignment is perfect. Your spine is straight. Your face is and your neck is straight, facing forward. It's almost like a dinosaur sitting down with the tail allowing you to kind of be seated in that position. So that's one thing. Your hands should just be hanging on the side. Nothing crazy. Just hang on the side, and your breath is normal. And the first movement that we're doing is raising your arms. So as you're raising your arms, you're breathing in. So you breathe in, and you can just watch for now and go past your face up here. Hold your breath, and then breathe out as you bring it closer to your face. And then slide your hands slowly down, and you're breathing out, exhaling all the way through. And as you come down, hold it by your navel and then let go again. Now, what does this do? Every time you're going up, you're gathering the chi, especially now the earth is cleaner than it's ever been. You're gathering the chi from the earth. You're going up, breathing in, holding up, gathering the chi also from the top, from the heavens, bringing it closer to your face. Don't touch your face. And then showering your body with this chi. Slowly, pausing. Maybe if you have a heart condition, pausing at your heart. Also your lungs, you need them to function well. and then gliding down to your navel. Hold it for a second and all the way down. Okay, they say if you do this 10 times a day, this is for health prevention. You do 10 times to 15 times twice a day. It's for health improvement. So, let's do it a few more times. Gather the chi, breathe in. Fill your lungs up, hold it up. Exhale towards your face. Glide it down, showering yourself with this beneficial chi. Stopping at your lungs and your heart. It deserves all the wonderful chi. Down to your navel and down. Now, one thing I'll say, sometimes, you feel like you need to develop the chi. You can just rub your hands. Just rub your hands and then start the practice. And a little variation that I'll say is that as you're rising up and going up, your hands moving up and you're breathing, get on your tippy toes. And then as you're exhaling, go back down. Again, as you go up, get on your toes, on the balls of your feet, and stay there. And then exhaling, slowly come back down with your full feet touching the ground. Just imagine yourself feeling lighter, feeling relaxed, and showering your body with what it needs, the vitality from the earth. We'll do it 2 more times. Breathe in deeply. Hold it up. Bring it closer to your face. And you can also do a variation. You can move your face side to side like like a blow dryer, but except instead of hot air, you're showering it with chi. And then sliding it down, stopping at your heart, stopping at your lungs for a second. They need attention. Down to your navel, which includes all your digestive tracts and everything, and then going down. We'll do 1 more time. Breathe in. Hold it up a little bit past your face, and then bring it towards your face. And then glide it down. Hold it at your lungs, hold it at your heart, and at your navel. Now, one quick tip about this practice is that it also, as you're going up and doing these movements, it's also expanding your rib cages. So this is important for this time, where it increases your lung capacity. So, do this 10 to 15 times, at least once a day. If you can do it twice a day, it's going to be fantastic for you and for your health. Now, the other practice that we want to do is there's no spiffy name for it, but it basically out and up is in essence what we're doing. But this is an incredibly powerful exercise because not only does it expand your lungs, it also does a lot of things for especially if you're standing and doing this. That it moves the lymphatic fluids and stuff like that in through your body. So the practice goes like this, and I'll share it with you. You don't need to replicate for now. Again, get in your Tai Chi position if you're seated. Same thing if you're standing. You take your hands and you interlock them. Okay, doesn't matter what hands what. I just do right in with the left with the index finger up top. Starts at your navel, and as you go up, you're breathing in. Breathing in. As you come close to your face, it switches. And then you go all the way up. And then you hold your breath for a second, stretch it up, and go out. As you're exhaling your breath. Okay? And do the same thing again. Now, a couple of points. Go as high as you can. A couple of quick indications is some cases if you have shoulder issues, you may not be able to go all the way up. Go this way. It's okay to have that variation. Stay in your green zone where you're not feeling any pain. Green and yellow is where yellow is a little uncomfortable. Red is where it hurts. We do not want any hurting. So as you go like this, sorry, if you're right here and as you're going up, instead of going all the way straight, just point outward and then just bring it down. Okay, so let's try that together. Again, get your posture relaxed. Make sure your shoulders are not tense. Many times we're tensed up like this as we're doing things. That doesn't help. Relaxed, and this is a very simple practice. So go with the flow. So again, you gather your chi. You know, I always like this. It gives you a tingly feeling, which is fun. Interlock your fingers. Start from your navel and breathe in as you're going up. Flip it at your face level. Go up. And this is called you're holding the heavens. And breathe out. Again, as you're breathing in, just imagine energy and vitality flowing through you. These practices are as much about practice and also visualizing and experiencing. So breathe in at your face level, switch, stretch it out as much as you can, hold your breath, and exhale. Now, another point, you can, if you're standing, you can go on your tippy toes as if you have the balance. You can, you have your legs almost shoulder width apart. You can always go on your tippy toes and on your balls of your feet as you're extending and stretching out. If you really want that full stretch, you can do that same thing while you're seated. So that's the other point to consider in a variation if you would like to do. So let's do 3 more, and then we can conclude with this. So again, start here. And again, this is loose. This is not like hardcore or anything like that. Keep it loose and just breathe in. Flip. Hold. And let go. I don't know about you guys, but every time I do this, I'm like carrying everything that I have for today, kind of extracting. Breathe in. Flip. And as I do this, I'm kind of holding it, like on all that I have left, that I have inside that I want to get rid of, and then exhaling, getting rid of all the negative energy, all the feelings that you don't need to hold on to, and keep to yourself. So let's do one last time. Hold it at your navel. Breathe in, taking all the positivity, health, and vitality. Flip. Hold it. Tell yourself you're awesome. And exhale, letting go all the negativity, all the unhealth, and finding peace and relaxation. So again, you can do these things, these practices, maybe 5 to 10 times a day. If you can do it twice a day, that's great. It really adds vitality, and you must feel already like that little bit of warmth, that little bit of flow, just doing something like this. So not only does it help physiologically, but also from a mental standpoint and so on and so forth. It's a very peaceful exercise. As you may have seen, I close my eyes when I do this. So you can do that as well, whatever works for you. But make sure you coordinate the breathing of breathing in and then holding and then exhaling as you're coming down. So that's important as we do any of the practices. So you see the benefit in the harmonizing of the chi within you. So with that, over to you, Dr. Bakshi.
Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you, Maulik, for that wonderful practice. You are really a great practice leader, and I really appreciate the way you conducted this, and thank you very much. Now, as we're going to get in the breathing part, but I just want to tell you a joke. And it's a funny joke because jokes are funny. Well, it's not a one-liner, it's one-worder. What is that? The comedian comes up in the stage and says, breathe. Everybody's looking at us, what do you mean breathe? That's a little funny because breathing is what happens. You're alive, you're breathing. At subconscious level, you're breathing all the time. The lower part of the brain. So continue. Let's do one breath the way Maulik showed us. Nice breath going up and coming down. This is a normal breath that we're doing. This is normal. Now, just continue breathing as I described to you a couple of things. We're doing subconscious breathing while you are asleep or not even aware of it, doing about our day-to-day life. This is bringing the breath into our consciousness. And the breath is also described as a pump or a handle. It's like a handle with which you can do a lot of things. And in doing that, there are multiple benefits. If you can take the handle of life or handle of breath, you're going to have a significant amount of benefits. And just anatomically, for example, continue breathing as I do this, and slowly at your own pace, we'll get into more details. But as we do this, the chest expands. Now, besides the expansion, there are three-dimensional breathing, we call it. Three-dimensional. So let's think about what three dimensions are. One is the diaphragm moves it up and down. So breathe in. Now focus on your diaphragm, which is located right here between the belly and the chest. As you breathe in, diaphragm goes down, belly comes out, and diaphragm goes up. It's the other way around in the hands, opposite of what the hands are doing. Or you can reverse your breathing as well if you wanted to do the inspiration the other way around. So this is the upper and this is the one movement of the diaphragm. Now, what's the second dimension? Get your hand here on the side and take a deep breath. And see the whole chest expand this way. Breathe out, you press the chest in. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth for now. Like blowing through the straw. You can see the sideways. Now, at the same time, think about the diaphragm. It's still working, okay? Diaphragm is also working. So these are two things you're thinking about now. The belly is coming out. The chest is expanding. Breathe out. One more time. What's the third dimension? The third dimension is front and back. So you can keep the back of the hand on the chest wall that way and see if the sternum, the breastbone comes out as you breathe in. Straighten out your shoulder as you do that. One more time. Now, let's be mindfulness of all three dimensions as we do the next breath, okay? Next three breaths we will do together where we'll have the three dimensions come into place. Just feel the three dimensions with yourself, okay? You can put your hand if you wanted to and do it. Now diaphragm, of course, is going to move up and down. Take a deep breath now. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Last time. Check all three dimensions and see if that is happening with you. If that's happening, you're really adding a lot more oxygen to yourself. Now, the next one, so anytime you breathe, being conscious of what is expanding makes very benefits, because the entire lung expands very well in all their different directions. It's much more like you have a plastic bag which is crumpled, and you try to blow into it, and how it crumples up and opens up. The same way the alveoli or the sacs, air sacs that are there in the lungs, they have to expand fully. And when they expand fully, a few things happen. There's one thing that happens, and let's continue one more breathing. Deep breath, as deep as you can, and come down. There's something called surfactant. It's a chemical made of proteins and lipids, and that's present in the lining of the wall of the lung. And that produces lowered surface tension. It reduces the surface tension. So when you do this breathing, deep breathing, like so, it stretches the lung, and surface tension is low. It maintains the elasticity of the lung. Now, when you have chronic condition of the lung, people smoking or outside, air is not clean, you can get that. But you can prevent all this by maintaining the elasticity of the lung. So let's do it one more time. Now, the next one we talked about was a pure abdominal breathing. Abdominal breathing is just basically make sure that when you take a deep breath, the belly comes out. And then breathe in. You can actually push inside to the spine. Breathe out. You breathe in and breathe out. That's the abdominal breathing. Now, when the person is anxious, anxiety comes up, fear, or as sickness, the breathing becomes shallow and only mainly the chest part, not the belly. So when you get the diaphragm down like this, it expands all the lung capacity. So now let's do the yogic breathing that we introduced that last time. And what is that? That's the 3 steps are involved. One is take a deep breath where the diaphragm goes down. So take a deep breath, belly comes out. Now tighten the belly and breathe more lower chest. Fill the lower chest now. One more, breathe in. Hold it a second. Now breathe the top of the lungs. This is called a clavicular breathing or top of the lung. And now breathe out. So first breath in is a diaphragmatic part, abdominal. Then lower chest expands. The diaphragm is still down here with more capacity. And the third is shoulder can go up if you need to. And then open your mouth and breathe out. Let's do it 2 more times. This is the 3 steps which is expanding the lungs the most it can. 1, 2, and 3. And breathe out. Now, breath is a pump, as I said. It pumps the lymphatics that are located in the belly. When the diaphragm goes down, the lymph, which is generated down. Lymph is coming from all the absorption of everything that is being digested and all the nutrition, the nutrients and all. Along with that, the immune cells from the spleen and the liver we talked about, that all gets transported to the lymph, and the lymphatic circulation improves significantly, because so when you deep breathe, you're mobilizing the whole army of immunity. That's what happens. And also the circulation improves. Besides, something else happens. If somebody were to get the pulse, so let's take a deep breath one more time and hold it up there for count to 3. And breathe out. Longer breath out. Now, as you come up, you do one more time, hold the breath. What happens when you hold the breath is the vagus nerve, there's a 10th nerve, cranial nerve, 10th nerve, vagus, you probably heard about that. That slows down the heart. You can continue breathing as we're describing this. It slows down the heart so that the heart gets rest. It switches to something called a parasympathetic system. And that is relaxation, rejuvenation, and also healing. So let's do this. Now comes the 4th dimension. We ordered the 3 dimensions, and I hope that with every breath you're working with that, and you continue to work with those mental images of all the breathing that we're doing, okay? So as much as you can do, if it's a simple breathing that you are comfortable with, please do that. But you can go up to the yogic breathing, all 3 of them, that's great. And every once in a while, you may want to just relax and do the normal breath. Okay, it's not a big deal. So let's do the timing part of it. You add the 4th dimension, that is the time. The time, we just did one of it, but here's what we do. And that's where we just breathe in and then hold it. Count to say 5. And then bring down, count to 7 as you come down. 7 counts, bring down. Or any number, but little longer, breathe out. Let's do it one more time. This is a 3-step breathing, 3 steps. Breathe in. Hold it, count to 4 or 5. Breathe out. That's the 3rd step. But continuously inhale again. Hold it. And exhale. Now we'll add the 4th step, where what we'll do is we'll stop and hold the breath at both the inhalation and exhalation. So let's do that. Hold it. Exhale. Longer. Now hold it. Start inhaling again. Hold it. Start exhaling. Now, one thing that helps the movement part, you can bend your knee and go down this way as I do. start rising up. Your spine comes up. Take a deep breath. This movement is added. Hold it and bring it down. Exhale. As much as you can bend, it's good. Turn. Inhale. And exhale. Now let's just do a little bit movement, because we've been just standing here or you've been sitting here. We added the 4 dimensions. I just want to stretch a little bit. If you want to do that, please do that. It really helps to, when the breathing is like a pump, it energizes all the systems. Good amount of oxygen is gotten in, a lot of carbon dioxide and everything has gone out. All the tissues have gotten good amount of cleansing. So this movement brings all the negatives out of there. So movement every so often is very helpful. Now, I'm going to go to a couple of more variations here, and just a couple of variations before we get into the actual practices. One practice is called victorious breathing. I just want to introduce that as a concept, and you can experience it by yourself. What is victorious breathing? It's also known as a heart, healing, Ujjaini. It's called Ujjaini is what it's called. And what we're doing is purse your lips. Maybe with your hand, it's okay. Purse your lip and breathe in through the nose. Hold it. And as you breathe out, feel the air coming out. Let's do it one more time. Purse your lip. Take a deep breath through the nose, through the nostrils. And breathe out. Now do it without my hand there. Just purse your lips. Let it all go through the nose and get into the brain, and breathe out through the mouth. How does the brain feel and how does the body feel when you do that? Just let's do it one more time. I feel very energetic all over the body. Like I really feel like, wow, this is amazing. Let me do one more time. Full breath again. Because our mouth is open, there's no resistance to flow. All the exhalation comes out beautifully. Now, please practice this at your own timings and have the experiences. What is your experience in doing this? How do you feel? Practice that. The next one is the opposite of it. It's called the cooler breathing or Shitala. Shitala is the term they use. This is a yogic term, but Shitala means cooling breath. Now it's the opposite of that. So we breathe through the mouth. Hold it, purse the lips, and breathe out through the nose. Let's do it a couple of more times. Breathe through the mouth. Hold it. Breathe through the nose. And the last time. Okay, so we've introduced some additional variations of breathing and all. The bottom line is breathe, as the guy said, What we will do now, I think we have a few other things that we can add on as we go on with the breathing practices. There's a lot more to it, a lot more finer points. But what I like to do is to go to the next part where we train both sides of the brain. As we know that Tai Chi involves both yin and the yang, and it's a duality system, two things. So both sides of the brain. And so let's have the video on Molek, please. This is from Bruce Lipton. Some of you know him. He's a physicist, very brilliant PhD scientist.
Hi dear friends, cultural creatives and imaginal selves everywhere, Bruce back. And this month's newsletter, I really want to focus on something called an urban myth. And this particular urban myth is the belief that we only operate off of 10% of our brain. So we've all heard that, yes, we're only using 10% of our brain, and boy, if we could use all the rest of it, we'd be super smart. But hey, that's all we use. Firstly, where did that number come from, 10%? A long time ago, when putting the body together through an understanding of histology and the cells that make up organs, a study of the brain revealed one very important fact, and that is only 10% of the brain was made up of neurons. 90% of the cells in the brain were not neurons, but they were called supporting or connective tissue and given the name glial cells. Well, what's really interesting about that is in the neuron principle, the neuron doctrine, it was believed that the neurons were the functional cells of the brain and the glial cells were more or less just support. Well, then by definition, right away, it says then you're only using 10% of your brain because that's all that the neurons comprise in the brain, 10%. For a long time, the glial cells, again, were thought to be just like connective tissue support physically and nutritionally the neurons. But over the last number of decades, what we started to find is this: there was a misunderstanding about glial cells. That glial cells are a lot more important in neural function than just physical support. Glial cells can inhibit or activate neurons. Glial cells connect to neurons. Glial cells can control the activity of neurons. So all of a sudden, these glial cells, which were looked at as just passive cells in the brain, turn out to be actually quite functional in integrating the nature of how the brain works. In a way of looking at it, in a simple analogy, consider that the neurons are nouns in a sentence, and that the glial cells are the verbs and the adjectives and the adverbs, the modifiers of all the nouns. So the glial cells create a fulfillment of a picture. So neurons are like a stick figure, and when you add the glial cells, you fill out the nature of the whole human. So glial cells become a very functional, integrated part of all neuronal activity. So the concept of the neuron doctrine that said only neurons are involved with functioning in the nervous system, it turns out the glial cells are as well. So now we're not dealing with 10% of the brain, we're dealing with 100% of the brain. Yes, you have access to 100% of your brain all of the time. But does that mean that we actually use the whole brain all of the time? And the answer is no. Because what we start to find out is when we start to live in patterns and in habits, that what happens is we just activate certain neuronal pathways that are habitual pathways. And as a result, these are the pathways that have preference in our everyday life. But if you can engage whole brain activity, you can enhance your consciousness and your awareness and your ability to control your life. So basically it says that we can become whole brain when we start to think holistically, instead of just playing recurrent programs that play over and over again and activate the same pathways. So the relevance is that once we start to engage in whole brain activity, we enhance our ability as humans on this planet. And now we're beginning to find out there are many different ways to engage and activate the whole brain. Some of them involve simple exercises such as something called Brain Gym. And Brain Gym is a very interesting exercise of the body and the nervous system integration in this way. My right hand is controlled by my left hemisphere. My left hand is controlled by my right hemisphere. But here's an interesting story. If my right hand, controlled by my left hemisphere, crosses the midline, then it simultaneously gets picked up by the other hemisphere, because now it's in that territory as well. So when you cross your arms and when you cross your legs, what you're doing is causing the right and the left hemispheres to work together in harmony. When we are activating brain synchronization, where right and left hemispheres are engaged together simultaneously, it activates something like super learning. With both hemispheres working together, we have much more superior characteristics of neural function. However, after age 7 and 8, we start to express what is called brain dominance, meaning during the day, we don't have synchronization of both hemispheres. During the day, it's like a wave form. Sometimes we're more in the left hemisphere, sometimes we're more in the right, then it comes back to the left and back to the right, so that we're cycling through one hemisphere at a time. This is called brain dominance, where one hemisphere is dominant over the other hemisphere. Well, the relevance about that is integrating our lives is very difficult in brain dominance for a simple reason. As been suggested, our left hemisphere is based on logic and details. Our right hemisphere is actually associated with emotions and wholeness. And this becomes very important, because if you're only looking with your left hemisphere, then all the logic things make sense, but there's no emotional component to it. And reverse, if you're in the right hemisphere, you get emotionally tied up, but the logic drops out. Well, this happens to us ever since the time we were 8 through our adult life. If you can get both hemispheres to be in sync, hemisync, then you're engaging logic and emotions at the same time. That opens up a window for super learning opportunities where you can download information very, very quickly and very fast, but it also opens up a whole wide range of thinking that includes an emotional component as well as an intellectual component, which is necessary to fulfill a whole picture. So if you're operating from brain dominance, you're actually shutting off one component of your nervous system at that time. So if you do an exercise like Brain Gym, where you're involved with crossing your arms and your legs, when you do that, you start to integrate both. Very interestingly, when we have hemisync, we're much more calm, collected, and able to really express neurological functions that are very fully supporting of ourselves. And this is why it's very interesting when you go home and relax at night, sometimes you find yourself with your ankles crossed over each other just sitting in your chair. Without even knowing what you're doing, by crossing your ankles, you're actually engaging a whole brain process. So if you're stressed, for example, during the day, or you just want to relax when you go home at night, crossing your arms and legs actually engages both hemispheres, which calms the system down, but engages a whole brain process. So you become much more effective in your relaxed state. So if you're having a tough moment during the day, just take a moment and cross your arms and legs. Hold them together and just wait for about 3 or 4 minutes, and you'll start to feel a calmness overcome. And in this calmness, your neurological functions will be totally enhanced. When we start to operate from patterns that are replayed every day, we start to express very specific pathways that are reused over and over and over again. And as a result, we actually shut down a large amount of functioning of the brain and just go through the habit, the patterns that replay themselves over and over again. So basically, what you really have to understand is this: we can use 100% of the brain, but if we play the same patterns over and over again, we don't need to use 100% of the brain. So, simple point, I'd just like to suggest that once you start to recognize that you can have hemisync, where you can get right and left hemispheres to engage together and stay conscious, you are using 100% of your brain activity. And when you do that, you'll also find that your life is easier, more harmonious, and healthier. Because when you're using your full nervous system, it will support your life and enhance your growth. And this becomes important. So don't get stuck that I'm only using 10% of my brain. That story is false. You can use 100%, and it's available to us. And basically all you have to understand is this: stay conscious, stay mindful, and stop playing the same patterns over and over again, because that opens up an opportunity to create new behavior when you stop playing the programs.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So can you see me well? Okay, thank you. Well, so this is the idea about engaging both brains. And I just want to give you a couple of tips here before we end today. Is a fact what many of us are either born right-handed or left-handed. Actually 90-80% plus are right-handed, and maybe about 90% and 10% are left-handed. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that I do regularly, and I would recommend that if you are right-handed dominant, okay, which is majority of people, start using your left hand in your activities of daily living. I just want to show you a couple of things that I do almost regularly for a long time. Because what happens, supposing you had one situation with either the arthritis or pain or actually, no, paralysis, people have stroke and all that. Or something happens that you can only use one hand or one leg or whatever. Now you have to train your other hand or other brain. I'll show you a funny thing that I do. This may sound very funny to you, but this is one of my usual things that I do. I shave with both my hands. I just want to show you how and it's very effective. A lot of times it is faster too. With my left hand, be careful, men, you can cut yourself, but I just going to show you that there are things that you can do on a daily life. I'll show you another one that we can cut. We take a scissors and you can start using your left hand to cut. Also, for ladies, putting on makeup or, whatever you can do. Or say, for example, using, this will look very funny to you, but,
Dr. Bakshi, your video just went out.
Okay. How about now? Got it?
Yep.
Okay. So I don't have much hair, but combing the hair, for example, buttoning or dressing and undressing using the left hand. So this is just a suggestion. We will do more practices about what Tai Chi means. Tai Chi does mean developing newer channels and newer pathways in the brain. And the same thing can be done for everybody, like Bruce was saying. Okay, so that really concludes the main portion. And I just want to end with one more thing. We said that there'll be a little bit of a surprise, but let's have everybody on now. Let's have unmute everybody. Okay. All right, good. Now, what we want to do here is, let's have a laughter. Take a deep breath and start laughing. Make some enjoyment.
Oh, come on.
That's so funny. It's so funny. Well, you know what's funny about this? Now you can.
One second, Dr. Bakshi. 1 second.
Laughter creates a lot of endorphins and a lot of good stuff that goes on. It also builds up our capacity. So continue laughing. And we have a special program. Those guys in Pittsburgh, we have Mahendra Bhai Shah's program coming up in a few minutes. So I'm just preparing you guys to laugh. Okay. So that is done for today's program. But I have a very important announcement to make, and that is next Saturday, there's going to be a very special presentation. We'll be doing something called Animal Frolics. It's a very, very unique program, Tai Chi program, but everybody will love it. Please invite as many people as you can. Not only that, but children. Basically focused towards children, but we are all children anyway. It will involve a lot of practices and you'll enjoy that. So Animal Frolics next Saturday, okay? So over to Maulik now.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bakshi. Just wanted to quickly cover a couple of things, and I know we're close to the end time of this program. I sent an email to everybody with the SurveyMonkey link for the feedback survey. Just check your spam as well, but you should receive it in your inbox or your social media section in Gmail, and fill it out. Any feedback will be really appreciated. We're trying to engage and have the best programming possible for everyone, and also ensure that the things we're doing in terms of practices actually benefits you as individuals, and you actually are seeing positive impact of what we're doing here. So that's first thing, and we will shortly have an announcement in the next session or two about the contribution and donation for this coronavirus individuals in terms of food banks and so on and so forth, where we want to donate and do our little part in helping individuals that are suffering in challenging times. So that's first point. And also, if we have any feedback right now, I'll open the floor to sharing any thoughts, any inspirations, any prayers. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Kalin and Maulik. Appreciate. This is Kiran and Vihar from Pittsburgh. I just want to share this, that my brother shared this with me about using right brain and left brain together. And the way I practice daily is I eat with my both hands. More food goes in, love it. Thank you, but thank you for the breathing and exercise as well.
Did you hear that, what he said?
Yeah.
I eat with both hands.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell me the name of Dr. Bruce, last name?
Lipton.
Lipton. Thank you.
Yep. All right. With that, we will conclude today's session. Just a quick message from Risa. Wonderful practice with gratitude. Thank you very much, Risa, for joining us and supporting us as always. Again, please fill out the survey, and we will see you on Tuesday, bright and early at 9:30. Until then, stay safe, cover your face, use face masks, sanitizer, wash your hands, and we will see you soon. Take care.